Hello, John. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you
Hi.
perfectly.
Hello. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce who we have here tonight. We have Karina and
Hello.
Karina, Lydia, and Deborah. This is Deborah.
Hello. Hello.
These are all big fans of MEMO. Am I right? So everyone, this is John Malloy, the co-founder and president of MEMO International. Very lucky to have him tonight.
Hello. I've got a visitor as well coming here. Look who's just coming in. This is my daughter. She just got back from school. Say hello, Belen.
Hello.
They're in Indonesia, in Jakarta.
Hi.
Hello. What do you want to say?
What's your name?
Belen.
Talk louder.
Belen.
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 B-E-L-E-N. Belen.
Belen. How are you, Belen?
Good, and you?
I am good, thank you. Did you have fun at school?
Yes, she loves her school. She's very good at school. So she had fun in school today. But it's nearly the end of the season, so the semester, so they got some tests and exams coming up. Even at 9 years old, she got lots of exams, so she's studying quite hard. So she's a good worker, and she loves perfumes. So maybe it could be the next generation. You never know.
Wow. Good job, Belen. We're gonna do a lot of sniffing around here with the creations of your mom.
While Belen is here, do you want any questions for Belen? Please don't ask her if her daddy is nice, because she might tell you the truth.
Belen, what is your favorite MEMO fragrance? See, I cannot ask the dad, I will ask the daughter.
MEMO fragrance. Say it.
French leather.
Ah, nice. Our favorite as well. Okay, so we're very lucky to have John here and Belen joining us. John is gonna help us get through some of the perfumes we have here. Go through all the notes, the inspiration behind each creation. But first, I'm gonna have John take over to reintroduce the brand to these already big fans of yours. John, go ahead, please.
Perfect. Okay. John, look, I'll go ahead. Oh,
yeah.
I'll let
Actually, John, over here we also have, I think Lydia and Karina works in a how to say, perfumery house, fragrance house in Indonesia. So and Deb was a big fan also as a fragrance reviewer. So a lot of people who love fragrance also reviewing their blogs and their Instagram. And even two of them actually studied in ISIPCA at that time in Paris.
Wow.
So yeah,
fantastic.
so now we have a lot of kind of expert noses. So it's going to be very interesting. But we'll let you to take the lead on introducing the brand. They love the brand as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, first of all, it's an honor and a great pleasure to be invited to talk with you today. Again, I would love to be with you there in presence and be sitting on the table, around the table with you. That's the most optimal way of doing this, but due to COVID around the world, unfortunately, we can't travel and be with you today. So, I'm with you in spirit, and we may be able to, throughout this meeting, we may be able to travel to the same places together. Let's see if we can. If I speak too quickly, just do this and say, slow down, John, because sometimes I speak too quickly. Otherwise, I'll continue. And if you want me to stop, just say, stop, John, and we've got a question. So let's be very relaxed. We're very informal. And I'm just so happy to have this privilege to be able to talk to you this morning. And I'm so happy that this modern technology works so well, so we can really see each other. So MEMO is about nearly 13 years old now. So it's kind of like an adolescent, you know, a teenager. The beginning being a teenager, it's got its own wings and it wants to fly. We started MEMO with Clara, my wife, 13 years ago. As an idea, as a as something we wanted to express what we were feeling at the time. And the idea was to pick a brand, to build a brand that was a real brand, that had its own legs, that had its own vision of the world. We didn't want to make a brand called Clara or called John or whatever. It was going to be called MEMO. And MEMO was really about your memories and about trying to share the fantastically positive memories that we have, because in your memory, your most important memory from your 5 senses is your olfactive memory. You have the memory of sight, the memory of sound, the memory of touch, the memory of taste, the memory of smell. But the most important and the strongest of all of those memories you have is your olfactive memory. So we thought that what better way to capture our memories than using our best sense. And the idea was to share these and MEMO, memories, emotions, and from all around the world. So that was the idea, places. So our idea was to say that at that time when we'd met, I had traveled to over 100 countries, and I always have stars in my eyes when I'm talking about my different visits of countries. And what makes those visits so important in those countries is the people you meet. So, you know, you can look at a glass half full, or you can look at a glass half empty. You know, today it's very hard for many of us and for our children to watch the news and television and to see the beauty of many countries. Because unfortunately, when a country is in the news, it's usually because of something bad happening, you know? So our policy is to try and say, how can we show the beauty of all these places in the world? Forget the politics, forget everything else, the beauty of the places, and that beauty of the places that comes from the people as well. So that was really MEMO. It's about sharing your emotions, because we really believe that you can travel, you know, through reading a really good book. You can travel by watching a really good film. You can travel by someone telling you a wonderful story, but you can also travel by smelling a really good fragrance. And that's what we believe we can do today. We can help people travel. We can help people to escape from their daily lives. So if you want to escape from your father, your mother, your husband, your wife, your children, your boss, whoever, if you want to escape and smile in the morning, you're going into work, you smell the perfume you're wearing, and you escape to Paris, you escape to Kedu, you escape to Inle, you escape. That's your piece of joy, your smile. And everyone's entitled to a smile. So we wanted MEMO to be this really positive brand that expressed the beauty of different places around the world. And that was like a bridge of building people together. And I think now, looking back after 13 years of MEMO, we see that our customers, many of them don't have an age, they're so international, but what brings our customers together is their curiosity for other cultures, other languages, other people, and their openness to travel. And that openness and curiosity is what really brings a lot of the spirit of MEMO together. And that's what we try to give. We try to give the modern vision of the world, sharing the beauty, sharing the poetry, sharing the capability of Clara to be able to capture the emotion of a place. She captures that emotion, that feeling in her body. And because she's a poet and she's a writer, she's able to find the right words to express those emotions. So you, first of all, you have to have a beautiful place. And that beauty is, you know, is captured by Clara, by her body, her emotion. Then she puts all of those emotions into words. And then she gets those words and she puts them into a text. And then she gets a text to brief the nose or the perfumer who will help make the formula for the perfume that Clara has in her mind. That's how we work. And it seems quite simple. It is quite simple because we work with the same people over a long period of time. So the personal, the intimate relationship between Clara and the noses is something very special. They know Clara for many years. People like Alienor have known Clara for over 30 years. So they understand when Clara says this word or this word, what it means. That does not guarantee that every time Clara captures an emotion, puts it into words, and gives it to Alienor, that it will work. You know, because a lot of what we're doing is about interpretation. So sometimes the nose cannot make it work and we have to go to another nose. And sometimes it can, because each nose has their own sensibility, their own liking of notes that they really like, their own handwriting. So it's really bringing it all together. And people often ask us, how does that work? And we feel it's because human beings. Just talking, my daughter came in. I've got two sisters who are school teachers. And I remember asking them about children's education. And they told me, John, remember the basic rule is a happy child learns. So the child has to be happy to learn. So I think you take the same thing to make a great perfume, the nose has to be at ease. The nose has to be relaxed to make a great perfume. The nose has to know there's confidence in the other person opposite them. The nose has to have the liberty to use the very best ingredients. The nose has to have the liberty to fail and not be judged only on one perfume. The nose has to have that, the same feeling that we all have in our couples, in our marriages, in our relationships, that builds us and makes us strong. So I really feel that's how we like to work, like a family company. We like to spend the time with the people we believe in. We try to bring the best out of those people. We try to encourage them. We try to make sure they've got everything they need to do their best. And I think that's the way we try to make. Do we have a secret formula? I think the secret formula we have is Clara's ability to put the emotions into words and her ability to know what she likes and what she doesn't like. We have certain ingredients that we use all the time in certain perfumes. So MEMO really has a handwriting. And that's why you will see it's a MEMO signature, and I like it. So other than that, I think really it's about focus, hard work, keeping the child inside of us alive, being able to keep our eyes open to see beauty, because there is beauty everywhere, and keeping beauty around you in the simpler forms, in your home, your life, your garden. This year is the first year that Clara and I spent like 10 months without traveling. So we traveled within our own garden. We're lucky to have a garden, a small garden around the house. We planted different trees, different plants, and we made the most of capturing the perfumes of the different fruits. You know, we've got fig trees, we've got kaki trees, we put apple trees, we plum trees, we've got cherry trees, we planted pear trees, apple trees, and then also we've got raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, gooseberries, wild strawberries, and nuts, hazelnuts. And so we've really tried to keep everything and keep traveling and getting lost in our own garden as well in a certain way, because you can walk out your garden in the morning, you look at it and go, oh, it's the same as yesterday. Or you can go pick up another flower you haven't picked up and smell it and smile for a moment. So I think really it's surrounding yourself, keeping your eyes open, and being able to let beauty into your life, and that helps you to be able to bring beauty out in a certain way. And that's really, so there's a lot of positive things that come out of this staying at home in a certain way, that you can see and learn a lot more. And there's an awful other part of it that you can't travel, you can't meet people and see people you want to see. And luckily enough for us, most of the places where we want to visit, where we have family and friends, we have a fragrance from that area. So my family's from Ireland. They breed horses in Ireland. So whenever I pick up an Irish leather, I can kind of go there spiritually, go there in my mind. I can wear Irish leather when I'm chatting to my family on the phone, and I can really feel the spirit of Ireland when I'm there. And it makes me think and get into that mood. If I put on French leather, I go to Paris. I'm thinking about where Clara and I lived for so many years together, where Clara's family is in Paris as well. So we can use the perfumes to help us travel to those places we can't physically travel to at the moment. Anyway, I've talked a lot. I'm sure you have some questions. I'm going to take a quick drink of my coffee here, and let me know if I've mixed subjects up or is anything you want to go clearer into or anything like that.
Actually, very much enjoying your story. Do you have any comments or questions, please? Yeah. Maybe should we continue to our
Okay.
Actually, it's not a question. It's more like how to say, like a comments. It's like I'm just I really appreciate how you work with the perfumer and how you really translate the feeling in the in each city or each places, and then translate it into words and then give the brief to perfumers. And then one thing that I really appreciate is you give you really give space for the perfumer to create, and then for them to fail as well, because we really understand how many times we have to fail every day in our daily job. And so yeah, for me it's like it's amazing that that your fragrances really really build these creativities, have emotions, and then also like tell stories about the memories and everything.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's I can't say it's because of me. I can say that we're learning as well, and I think every day we learn, and every time we work with a new nose, we learn about that person and what their inspiration comes from, what motivates them, how they perceive certain ingredients and what they want to work with, and at the same time we're moving forward. We've got to think about the future. We're looking at a lot of new types of molecules. So we've got to learn every day as well what's happening in the world and be conscious to it. And I thank God every day for the children who make us see that that they don't, so we don't get too stuck where we are today. We've got to think of tomorrow and what's happening tomorrow and where the world is going tomorrow. And I think all of this is a great impetus. And I think we've got a great chance, we've got a lot of luck. So I think we're lucky people that we've been able to meet wonderful talent. And I think we're lucky that, maybe it's in a way because MEMO isn't about Clara or I. MEMO is a combination of all the talents that work for the brand. The brand is not our name. And for me, growing up, I love brands since I've been a child. And I've always felt a brand is as much part of all the customers who are part of that brand as much as the brand people who are giving it its vision. We try to give the brand, just like you give a child, we try to help MEMO give it a vision of the world, point it in the best direction, and we hope for the best. And then we work with partners, just like in Indonesia, working with iZone, working with the whole family. We try to privilege family companies who share those sort of values and who want to take the time to grow something well, to learn how to do it and to invest. And I think all of these things, if you keep those values, sometimes in life you've got to move things quickly, but if you can try and keep those sort of values, I feel that the brand will take its time and it will grow like a human being. I always think that brands are really like human beings. MEMO's 13 years old. It's just become a teenager. Where will it be in 100 years' time? So I've got to make sure it's strong. It's got real moments of truth, that everyone that's working for it is really thinking about it, protecting it, making sure that it comes out the best. And that's all part of it. It's not about us. It was even yesterday, one of our brand managers did a presentation. They put a big photograph of Clara and I, huge, on a page. And I looked at it, I said, please take it off. The brand is not about us, it's about MEMO. And MEMO is about memories of traveling, and it's about a vision of the world. It's about those people who are open to curiosity, those who are open to travel, those who are open to other people. And it's all about MEMO, and it's about everyone, every single person, be it someone working in the field, harvesting the vanilla, be it someone working in the factory, extracting the essence from the juices, be it a nose, be it a brand manager helping to make sure that everything is put together. Everyone is part of MEMO. And I think that's what we have in common. You know, my mum is from Kenya. My dad is Irish. I was born in Ireland. I went to university in France. Went to school in Germany for a while. Clara, her parents are both from Spain. She was born in France. You know, now we're living together here in Switzerland. So I think really it's part of that. It's kind of openness of the new world, that we've all got so much more in common as human beings than we have differences. And I think if you think of that way, what do we have in common rather than thinking of our differences, you know? And I'm sure that if you blindfolded all of us and we met up and we all like traveling, you would get a totally different picture of the people around the table. And then suddenly you take, oh my God, we could all be different nationalities, different. But at the end of the day, it's what brings us together and like kindred spirits. And that's what we feel, that's MEMO. So really MEMO is about a positive vision of the world and about putting smiles on people's faces. And it's about being able to escape, giving you a tool, a beauty tool, because beauty is very important. People say beauty is artificial. No, beauty has always been important. It makes you feel good. And every human being's got the right to feel good. If it's just to wash your hair, to look good, to feel good about yourself. And having a beauty trick like being able to escape and put on your perfume and to go for 2 seconds and smile, that's wonderful. Because it's all the small things in life that make a difference in your life. It's not one big thing. Tomorrow morning, someone gives you win the lottery and someone gives you $100 million. Yes, your life will change. Yes, you might have some funny moments. But at the end, it's not going to change your friendship with your best friend. It's not going to change the relationship with your brothers and sisters. It's not going to, all of that is going to work with them and go further and do it. So it's always the small things that really help us in life. Those smiles, the meeting people, talking to people, and finding people who are like-minded and who understand, show the most beautiful things in the world that everyone can see, and then share it. And that's really our philosophy. If we can do that, we'll be very happy, because people have learned about different places, different cultures, different people. And it's a simple thing, the perfume. There are no rules in perfumery. The first rule about perfume is there's no rules. The first rule about perfume is that everyone's nose is different. And everyone's entitled to say, if you say, I smell banana in that, and someone laughs at you and says there's no banana, they have no right to, because your nose may smell something that reminds you of banana. And I try to say also in perfume that, you know, I worked for 20 years in fashion, and maybe many of you who have worked in fashion before as well. When you're working in fashion, you can see 20, 30, 40 different colors of black. You know, when you haven't worked in fashion, you look at it and you go, or design, you go, black is black. It's the same thing in perfume. The more perfumes you smell, the more you understand how many different ways of roses there are, how many things. Because you've got to remember, I always say to people, this is your olfactive memory when you're born. When you're born, there's nothing on it. As soon as you pop out, you have one hole in your olfactive memory that can never go away. One hole. That's the smell of your mother. You feel safe when you're in your mother's arms. The second one usually is the smell of the father or someone else you feel safe. A baby cries when it goes to someone because it has to develop its second smell of safety, because your olfactive memory at the beginning is for protection. And that's why us human beings, we can smell things knowing that we can't drink them or eat them. As for a dog can't, they will run away from something that is dangerous for it. But we as human beings, we can. So that's why we like to smell and smell more. And the more you smell, the more you develop your olfactive memory, the more holes you have here. And then what's the difference between your memory and a nose's memory is that a nose knows how to put the formulas behind that, and a nose keeps a name to each one of those smells so they can memorize it. Otherwise, it's the more you smell, the more you love perfume. It's a wonderful hobby. And I invite everyone to smell as much as you can, because it makes your olfactive memory larger. And then you'll really kind of understand when someone does a really good fragrance with really good ingredients, you say, wow, I can feel that. I understand what they're doing, you know, because often it's like fashion, we're into the popular movement. Something happens and everyone goes to the same popular movement, and that goes up and down all the time. You know, we're trying to transcend that. We just do what we like doing, and we like to do things that are singular, that are unique, that people really feel special. And you know, hopefully they will stay the test of time. Now, God, I'm talking too much. You're going to kill me. Sorry.
No, not at all. Actually, I have another question here.
Yes, first I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to CNF team as well as to you, John. Thank you so much. Because I think this is the first time that I get to talk and ask the man himself, like the founder of a niche brand. Because like when I think of a niche fragrance brands, right? Like that means when you're niche, that means you have freedom of creativity in making your perfume. You don't have to answer to like a popular demand, like what you were just saying, right? But then my question is sometimes like this is a burning question that's been inside my head. Like sometimes as someone who would decide what a particular fragrance smells like what your latest fragrance would smell like, how would you decide between being something very singular, something very unique, but at the same time you know that people would love them or that it would sell? Because I really like somehow like I also know that when we're releasing something and we're selling it out there, we want it to sell as well. So I was just curious, how do you draw the line? How do you make the difference? How do you decide? That's what's been, I don't know, like for me, I was just like, how do people differentiate that? So yes.
Well, no, I think it's a very good question. And it's something that huge companies spend millions on every year, is trying to make, formulas and trying to make working artificial intelligence. All the big industries in perfume, the big brands, are spending millions trying to answer your question. So they all have ways of testing. They will send out a new fragrance to be tested in every geographical area to make sure that their fragrance is liked by every type of human being on the earth. And they'll come back and they'll try and make a perfume for everyone, because if you want to have a perfume and you want to advertise it on television, that costs hundreds of millions around the world. Therefore, you can't take a risk. You need to say, look, we've tested it everywhere. We've tested the advertising. We test everything so that the majority of people find it nice. And that's one way of looking at it. And that's when you're doing in any sort of business, you have to do that, because if you've got hundreds of shareholders behind, you've got to make money, you've got employees, and that's like a responsibility of a CEO of a big company. And I understand that. I worked for these companies before. Or else you can take the other side, is what we do, is say that, look, we want to do what we really believe in. We really want to do what we really like. And the world is big enough out there, and hopefully there will be other people that will share that. And that's so far so good, because we're niche, we're not trying to go everywhere. What we're trying to do is to find within every country a niche group of customers who like that part, who have got that discerning taste, who understand singularity, who want. Now, even within our collection, within our collection of MEMO, which we nearly have 30 fragrances today, there are some of them that we can see from like sales around the world for the last 10 years. I can take something like Shams. Shams is a very strong perfume. It's got a bit of oud in it, but very spicy. Now, this perfume, if I was in any other company, they would delist it, take it out of the collection worldwide and stop it. We keep it because whenever it runs out of stock, we get calls and we get emails from passionate people saying, where's my fragrance? I can't get it. And they may be from Norway, they may be from the Middle East, they may be from America, but there are people, and I don't know what they have in common, but they are really passionate about this perfume. And it's unbelievable. Unfortunately for us, there's not a million of them in the world, but there are a few thousand, and they love this fragrance. And that means more to us, that for these few thousand people, which are all spread around the world from New Zealand and everywhere else, there's a few people in each country, they love this fragrance so much, they will write to us, they will email us saying, where is our fragrance? And therefore, we will never stop this fragrance, because that is something very special. Now, that is not commercial, no, because it's not commercial enough, but it means something to us that people are really fan, because that perfume, it won a perfume award. It won the Fifi award for the most extraordinary perfume of the year. I think it was about 8 years ago in the UK. So it won a worldwide award for a perfume. It's not for everyone, but those who love it really love it. So it's kind of like we make some perfumes that could be bipolar. You love it or you hate it. But we'd rather have that really strong passion than having something in the middle, which, I used to wear that for a few months back 5 years ago, then I stopped wearing it, So that is kind of our way. Now, of course, we've got a company, we develop it, but we have to keep going at what we believe in. And how do we do that every day? To answer your question is, we've got this thing we call the moment of truth. And it's that Clara has to wear the perfume herself. She will never bring out a perfume that she does not honestly like and honestly wear on her own skin. So that really is our moment. Because if you break that, if you bring out a perfume that you hate and then you cannot wear it, and you go out and you start talking to the opinion leaders, talking to the press and saying, oh, it's wonderful, it's a new perfume, and you don't actually like it and you can't wear it, well, then that's the beginning of the end for us. So if you really want to see that difference, is that we can only bring something out that we really love and like. And that we wear. And that's why you'll find that there is a handwriting in our fragrances, and it is a collection. You could say it's kind of like Clara's sort of collection in that, that she wears every one of the fragrances, not one fragrance she would not wear. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much.
Did I answer it or did I in a roundabout way?
Yes. All good? Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. No, thank you. It gives me a more complete picture of what's going on. And I like it when you say because you're the one, like you and Cara are the one who are in it. It means that you have to like them and you have to wear them and you have to love them when you wear them, that you can speak and sell about them. So I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I can tell you, often at night, Cara rolls over and she asks my arm, and I think she's going to give me a kiss, but no, she wants to smell my arm to see if the perfume has lasted 24 hours, if it's a long-lasting perfume. So, so often I get a stretch over and no, not me. It lasts, it's still good. So often I'm the guinea pig, I'm used. She puts 2 perfumes on before I go to bed or in the afternoon, like the A version and the B version. And then she says, don't wash here tonight. I don't. And the next morning, she'll come along and she'll smell both to see how it is. So we're constantly wearing the perfumes to see how long they last, because MEMO's got a long-lasting signature, how they evolve on the skin and take the time, and that's what we do. So it's really about trying to keep a signature. It's like, Clara's a writer and she's also a poet and she reads a lot. And you can see, if you look at her library of books, you can see the author she really likes. And Clara our house, we would have maybe 100,000 books. We don't. We've only got, let's say, a few thousand books. Why? Because Clara only keeps the books that she really loves. Any book she read, she liked it a little bit, didn't like it at all, she'll always give it away to a bookshop or give it away to a secondhand bookstore. But she only keeps the books she really loves, and she only gives presents of the books that she's read that she really loves. But yet she buys maybe a month she's buying 50 books or 30 books or 40 books of poetry, of literature, everything else. And she'll go through some of them quicker, others. And then you see maybe there's only 3 or 4 at the end of the month that stay in the house. The rest will be given for someone else to read because there's a joy of reading, but they won't stay. And I think it's like that. Clara she does the same logic in keeping her clothes. I know it's very personal, but twice a year she goes to her wardrobe and she takes everything out of her wardrobe, puts it all in her bed, and she only puts back in the clothes in her wardrobe that she really loves, that she really has worn a lot. Everything else, even if she liked it or whatever, it all goes and it gets sent to our nieces, our nephews, or it gets given to people or whatever. And I think that's it. It's about, and she says, I need to do this. I need to keep my space in my head. I can't have this clutter. I need to keep it focused on the things that I really love. And I'm the opposite. I keep all my things. Yeah, if you give me an extra room, I'll fill it. You give me an extra house, I'll fill it. I'm terrible. So I think that's the way of working. So I think it's kind of a logic. I think because she's so singular in what she thinks, what she likes, she only wants to keep that there because it really had strong emotions and it touched her. I really love that dress. I wore it 20 times. I want to keep it all my life. I like that, but you know what? It's keeping those things that really mean things to you, I think is maybe one of the keys. And that's what I feel that working with Clara, and I've worked with a lot of artistic directors when I worked in fashion, and I know what it's like to work creative people, but having someone that really can say, I like it and I don't like it, is very good. Because a lot of people, it's very difficult. People often say, oh, it's lovely to be an artistic director. But imagine every day of your life having to make a decision, like it, don't like it, don't like, every music, film, image, smell, perfume, everything. You know, woof, you got to make decisions. And, you know, people think it's lovely at the top, but then you got to make all these decisions all the time. So it is a great job. It's a fantastic job, but you got to have a clear vision and keep that clarity of what you like and what you don't like. And hopefully, the only marketing we do is hopefully that other people will like it. Because otherwise we can't market. The only thing we do is we try to show as many people as possible through sampling and by having wonderful partners around the world and by meeting people who believe in us. So by meeting Charlene and her family, and they believed in us, you know, they met us a few times. They believed, I don't know why they believed in us, but maybe they thought we were crazy and they said, we like these crazy people, but they really believed in us. And, you know, I think we'll probably work together for 50, 100 years. Maybe the next generation of children will work together, who knows? But that's how we like to work.
Okay, John, you mentioned closet, and all I can think about is, don't we all wish we have a closet full of these? Yes, everyone they cannot wait to try this. What do you want to start with, John?
Let me, I think we'll probably start, how we like to start normally is we start from the lighter fragrances and we'll go through the heavier ones, so there's no saturation. Okay, so we'll start with the lighter fragrance. Maybe we'll start with inlay. Inlay, and then we'll go through from inlay. I don't know if you can see all of these here in front, and then we'll put inlay here. So I'm going to start with inlay. So inlay, I don't know if anyone has the pleasure of visiting inlay. Inlay is in Myanmar. It is a wonderful lake, most beautiful peaceful place. They've got floating villages on the lake. So Clara thought when she was there, we were there with our family, with our children in the lake. Wonderful. And she was thinking, my God, what is this flower? It's osmanthus, an Asian flower, osmanthus. And then, you know, working with a beautiful mate tea and with some jasmine as well. So you've got this wonderful mate, which is a tea from South America. You've got this lovely osmanthus and a bit of jasmine. And it's kind of like, it's like a fresh aquatic perfect. Like you can nearly feel the lake. You can nearly close your eyes and see the clouds on the bottle going over the lake, the small clouds going over the lake. And it's a very poetic lake because when you're there, you see the fishermen and they are actually like ballet dancers. They have 1 foot in the boat and they have 1 foot rowing the boat and they use their 2 hands for pulling in the fishing nets. And it really is fantastic. I invite you to go on your search engine, Google, and look at inlay. And again, remember what you smell at first takes time to evolve on your skin. Always give a perfume a chance. Even if you don't like a perfume at the beginning, give it a chance. This is how it develops. So inlay, it's is an osmanthus perfume covered by a tea cloud. Some people often smell a bit of peach coming through. I don't know what you smell.
Yeah.
And by the way, often when you go to a perfume shop, they will give you a bit of coffee in between to stop, you know, just to smell coffee. If you can, the best thing to smell is your own skin where you have no perfume. Because your own skin where you have no perfume is 0. If you smell coffee, it's like going -5 for your nose. So whenever you want to try and get your nose back to 0 in between smelling, try and keep a bit of skin on your own body where you've got no perfume, and then you can smell that. It brings your nose back to 0. Any questions about inlay? Hello.
Hi, Hans. Sorry, somebody has just joined us. I think is Hans over here. So this is John. John is the founder of MEMO Paris. So
Hi,
we
Hans.
just started with our first fragrance.
It's inlay. Inlay's from a lake in Myanmar, and it's got a beautiful osmanthus, very delicate, with jasmine and a lovely mate tea, a tea from South America.
Hi, John. Well, Inlay is one of my most favorite fragrance from MEMO. I really like, for me, the opening is very tea for me. And then after sometimes the jasmine, like the floral part of the jasmine and osmanthus comes out. And I can really feel the mate here. I think the mate is very beautiful, and I can see that I can feel like the raw materials here are very high quality. It's very smooth and everything is balanced. And you know, it's like it has layers and there's a lot of facets in it. And for me personally, I really like the osmanthus and tea facet inside inlay. And like right now on my skin, I really feel the osmanthus. The osmanthus smells like peach skin, and also with some this velvety violet vibes in this fragrance. And also like when you tell us the story about the lake and then the water and everything, I can really feel this fragrance is, how to say, it's quite aquatic. It has this room for the air is quite airy, and at the end it's quite musky as well. I really like the story behind this, and then the balance in it. I think it's very beautiful.
Thank you very much. I think you did a very good description. Next time you can do this for me. So no, very good. You know, as I say, we only give out if you really are what we call a fragrance head. You know, people who love fragrances, we call them fragrance heads. People who love cars, we call them petrol heads. So, you know, if you're a fragrance head, you'll understand that we only give you 3 ingredients. Normally we talk about the perfume because we don't want to complicate things. We want you to focus on the image of the perfume and those 3 key notes. But if you really are a fragrance head, you can understand in this fragrance, we've got a bit of bergamot, a beautiful oil of bergamot in it. There's got also, there's also got a little bit of mint in it. It's got mate, and it's got, so we've got a few other ingredients as well, but we only usually talk about 3 because MEMO's way of working and showing our customers our fragrances is all about listening to what they think rather than telling them what we think. So I think it's very important when you smell a fragrance to develop what you think of what you smell, because if you start go into a fragrance shop and someone starts telling you everything they know about the fragrance, often they're trying to make you feel bad, saying I'm an expert and you're not, and you walk out feeling you don't know that much. And I used to hate that when I was buying fragrances. So we only like to talk about 3 notes, and then we ask the customer to tell us what they smell, what they feel, because that's what the real truth is what they feel and what their emotions, rather than what we think they should smell. So we can go from inlay. If you want to move, we can move on. If you want to go to inlay, and we can go to, I think, let's go to, first of all, go to Brazil. Let's go to Ilha do Mel. Ilha do Mel in Brazil. Ilha do Mel means the island of honey. This is a small island off the coast of Brazil. And I want you to think about it for a moment. Think about the 1st of January every year. Everyone on the island goes out to the beach of long white sand, and they're all wearing white clothing. They take off their shoes and they all walk and run down the beach wearing white clothes. This is like a huge big bouquet of white flowers, huge bouquet of white flowers. So here you have Ilha do Mel, the island of honey. We've added some honey pollen into it to give it sort of a sweeter, and it's the most. So when you hear you have Ilha do Mel, it's got an oil of juniper, so juniper oil. It's got a wonderful jasmine, a wonderful gardenia, but if you don't even have to think about all of the notes. It's got a bit of musk, it's got a jasmine, it's got some juniper, it's got some vanilla, it's got lots of things. Just think of a huge big bouquet of white flowers. Many people tell me they want to get married wearing this. And many people have got married. And many wedding magazines have talked about this perfume because it just is the most wonderful, pure bouquet of only white flowers with some green leaves. That's it. Actually, your floral arrangement in the middle of the table is very just. It's very very apt. Do you also share with me the white flowers, or are you thinking differently?
Yes, John. Hi, John. I agree with
Hi.
you. It smells really white flowers for me. Like I got a bit of ylang, jasmine, but I also get like these rosy facets from the from the honey. I think.
Yes, yes.
I think it blends really, really well. So it sometimes white florals could be overwhelming, I think, for me. But this one, because of the honey part, it really like blends really well, and it really tones down the white floral. So it's like amazing.
I think what you're saying is also what Clara liked about it when she made it, because she's not just pure white flowers. It's not for her either. That's kind of pure white flowers. It's kind of like your idea of the American teenager, you know. It's too easy, too straightforward. So she wanted something a little warmer, coming from her Latin roots, you know, coming for something different. Mind you, gonna break this? Come in, come see. Whoops. Say hello. My son has come to say hello. This is Bart. So you had my daughter earlier on. Now you got my son. He's 12 years old. Say hello, Bart.
Hello.
What's your name?
Bartholomew.
Clear. Bartholomew.
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew. So we call him Bart for short. And he loves singing. So he wants to be a singer and an architect. So his big passion is singing.
Architects, we don't know, because, you know, I'm passionate of buildings and stuff like that, but I'm still hesitating because.
So there we go. Anyway, we're in the middle of smelling perfumes, so I'll let you run, okay?
Smelling perfumes.
Mind yourself.
How would I smell?
So sorry about that, but he's just back from school as well. Wednesday, in school, they have a half day from school on Wednesdays.
How old is she?
He's 12 years old. And he's a singer. If anyone, he loves singing. He's got his own YouTube channel where he sings all these songs. He only sings about love and melancholy, and he writes all his own songs. So he's written 3 albums of songs about love and melancholy for a 12-year-old boy. It's quite strange, but anyway, he loves it. Music is his life at the moment.
He's at that age.
Yeah, I think he gets the writing from his mother, you know. So there we're at Ila de Mel. So Ila de Mel is, you know, it's just that sort of fragrance that kind of puts a big smile on your face. It's the most wonderful bouquet of floral fragrances. We can go from there. We can go to, let's go to Indonesia. Let's go to Java. Let's go to Kedu. And from Kedu, let's walk together through the forest to Borobudur. So Kedu, which you can see here, has the pelong fabric. You know the fabric from Indonesia, from Bali, they wear on the dress. How do you call it? You call it pelong? What do you call the black and white fabric that people wear in Bali? What do you call it?
We call it barong. Barong.
Barong. Okay. So here you're going to have a wonderful, the idea is that if you're walking through the jungle and just you get to the Borobudur, first of all, you're going through, you got the grapefruit early in the morning, a fresh grapefruit giving you that energetic feeling of the jungle. Then you have this wonderful sesame, this toasted or roasted sesame. And then you have a triple white musk underneath, giving you that wow feeling that you could never understand. This perfume will keep moving on your skin all the time until it finds how it's going to be on your skin and unique in your skin, because the musk will do that. And it's got this triple white musk, 3 different white musks put together. And here we wanted, that musk was really to show the wow effect, the wow effect of walking through the trees and suddenly your first glimpse of Borobudur and you kind of, your mouth opens going, oh, my God, how did this place be built in the middle of this jungle? How is it there today? And the sesame, because when you're going there, there's burning, smell of burning toasted sesame. So this perfume actually in the perfume industry, it causes a lot of problems because it's actually a fresh Oriental. And, you know, as you know, you can't get a fresh Oriental because a perfume is either fresh or it's an Oriental. But yet this is both. So people don't know how to classify it.
John, we also show to the inviters the Kedu Sesame. Maybe you could explain what is the difference between the Kedu Sesame with the Kedu.
Okay, when we take a perfume, we have Irish leather oud, or we have Marfa spices, or we have Kedu sesame. Here we've taken, because we invented the sesame molecule in perfume. Before, sesame was used in massage oil, as in sesame oil, but never in perfume. So we had to do an extraction, and then we turbocharged Kedu with this really, really pure extraction of the sesame, a really high concentration of sesame to bring it to overcharge it. So someone who likes Kedu and then they want to have an exceptional perfume, even a lot more singular, then they got their Kedu Sesame. So it's only for those. So let's say Kedu is a niche of people who love Kedu. Well, then you got this hyper niche that will love Kedu sesame.
Ada apa yang nggak biasa? Enggak, yang si kedunya tuh lebih keras, ada deeper, lebih keras juga. Sedangkan si seni buat aku lebih deep atau lebih green, lebih solid aja, lebih nggak airy ya. Menurut Hans gimana? Ada apa yang teringat apa? Yeah, we can smell the musk. I think the Kedu sesame is more earthy. Yeah,
it's got like
earthier.
It's turbocharged with the sesame, and we've really made it more singular. So it's slightly more earthy. It's got slightly the musk, but you've really got to wear it to see how it will develop in your skin.
Yeah, right. It's a lot more green. It's a lot more green, the Kedu sesame.
Yeah.
It's a lot more solid. Like I love Kedu by itself because I love the bitterness facet of mate, that it's just right there. It's just right, the right balance. And I love how airy it is. But then when they showed me the Kedu sesame, I love it because it's a lot more intense, it's a lot more solid, and it's a lot more green. And yeah, I love how they're different. But yeah, I don't know if I can't choose one. I cannot.
And now we're going to move to a new collection. If you're okay, we're going to move to the Artland collection. So I'm going to take you from Indonesia. We're going to cross the world, and we're going to go to America. And we're going to go within America. We're going to go to Texas. And within Texas, we're going to go to the Mexican border to a tiny village called Marfa. And people only know Marfa for 3 reasons. The only reason you'll have heard of Marfa, 1 is if you were born there. 2, if you like watching stars, because there's a thing called the Marfa lights, and Marfa lights are famous. And how do I explain it to you? It's like if you were sitting down in your hotel and you look out the window and you see these cars driving up the mountain, the lights of cars driving up the mountain, okay? The morning, you look out your hotel window and you realize that there's no mountain there and there were no cars there last night. So it's really special because the stars move in the sky at night. And the third reason you might know Marfa is because if you like contemporary art, Donald Judd, the artist, is from Marfa. He set up a foundation there. And so Marfa has become this wonderful art foundation with many foundations of artists there. So Clara, as she loves contemporary art, her first, when she was 20, she had an art magazine. So she wanted to dedicate something that meant something to her to an Artland collection. So Marfa is a wonderful tuberose. So tuberose comes from the root, and the tuberose is linked to the agave or the cactus family, which grows an awful lot of tuberose, comes out of Mexico. And so here you've got this wonderful tuberose. You've also got a lot of musk, a beautiful musk. And it's just become a fabulous perfume for us in our collection, Marfa. It's we call it the Eye of Tuberose. On top, you've got this very delicate orange blossom absolute, and then you've got this tuberose absolute, 2 absolutes, and then you've got this wonderful musk. You might get a bit of vanilla coming through it, a bit of cedar as well. What else can you get? Other ingredients as well. You know, I think there's a bit of ylang ylang as well. So there's quite a few different things here, but the main 3 really are the musk, pure white musk, tuberose absolute, and orange blossom absolute.
So I really like Marfa, and this is the first fragrance from MEMO that I bought for myself, because first I love tuberose, and I like how you put tuberose here, because you know there are several types of tuberose fragrances, and there are the green one, and there are the very creamy one. But I think in Marfa you get this this green part of the tuberose, but not very green that makes it. Sometimes the greenness, the natural tuberose, the greenness, it has this quite like leathery and rubbery smell, but in this one, it's not there. And then the creamy part is not it's not too creamy coconutty. It's more like a creamy with a little bit of nutty facet. And then the orange blossom is it's a hybrid between tuberose and orange blossom, I feel, in Marfa. And I have a story with Marfa, not like, so I was, one day I was very sad that day, and my mood was, and I was really in a bad mood, and I used Marfa after I came back from the office, and then I used it to sleep, and then, I don't know, this fragrance really makes me happy. So, I don't know, I really like Marfa, and now every time I smell this, it really brings me happiness, and it really brings me comfort as well. So that's my personal story with Marfa.
Well, thank you very much. I think what you're saying about Marfa, it's also very special to Clara, is because Clara is being a feminist, but not a militant feminist, but always standing up for equality. She wanted to make a tuberose for a modern seduction, because as what you said before, tuberose was often in perfumes for a very old-fashioned seduction, like without being negative, like a Monica Bellucci type, where you're showing a lot of skin, you're half dressed, and an old-fashioned seduction you see in a film from the 1980s. And Clara wanted to make a modern seduction by a woman, something that who you are, what you do, what you stand up for, what your beliefs are, how you can seduce through a conversation, and by who you really are. And I think tuberose stands up for that. This one, Marfa, really stands up for those people who are modern, seductive by who they are and what they stand for.
Okay. Shall we go to our next bottle? Yes.
Okay, the next one I'm going to go through for you is called Winter Palace. So Winter Palace is about the part of the Forbidden City in Beijing, Winter Palace. And here we worked on a special red tea, on a very warm red tea. And it's got a lovely bergamot, sort of this sort of citrusy bergamot, an oil of bergamot going through. And it's got an amber base. So it's kind of like, we call is like, fire and ice. You got the amber with the fire. You got the bergamot giving it very fresh. So you've got this hot and cold mix, which makes it very unusual. And And this is Winter Palace. So I think it's the first time you've really got a red tea that gives a bit of like a quite fruity red tea, but at the same time, it's wonderful amber base. So I don't know what you feel, but I feel this perfume is, again, it's a very feel-good type of perfume for me, and it's got a lot of mystery behind it. Is anyone an amber fan?
Yes.
There's a very beautiful bergamot in this as well.
Yes, actually, Windsor Palace is my favorite, my #1 MEMO favorite, and it is my first MEMO as well, Windsor Palace. And I love when you say it's a mix of hot and cold, and that's what I get. Like when I first smell it, I'm like, this perfume is strange. It's strangely beautiful because you can't decide if it's a warm or if it's a cool perfume. And then when we were just talking about it, we say like it's an amber base, but at the same time you make it a fresh kind of fragrance as well, which is really unique. Like usually when you go with amber, you go with something that is very warm, that's like a little heavy base, you know. Like I was trying something else, I think it was the Tiger's Nest. I would expect like when it comes to amber, it was more something like that, but it's an amber that is uplifting and airy and fresh. So I for me, it's really special.
Are you describing yourself?
No, maybe, I don't know. You should ask my husband. I think he can describe me better.
No, if someone could record that, I think, because it was a very nice way, and saying to yourself, you know, you're being very open, the ice and the warm, the hot, the cold, the contradictions, well, you know. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too personal, but it was kind of quite funny. Please forgive me. But I understand perfectly. This is what we like to find. We like to have I think people often tell us there's a lot of energy in MEMO's perfumes. MEMO perfumes give us energy. They bring energy. And I think when people say that about the brand, you know why it is? Because places give you energy. Beauty gives you energy. When you say beauty is artificial or beauty is not, when you see something beautiful, it can be a beautiful woman or a beautiful man or a beautiful building or a beautiful picture of the sea or a beautiful island. Whenever you see beauty, it gives you energy. You know, before they had religions, people, they went to beautiful places and they looked at them. So, you know, beauty and energy comes from there. So I think we like to show the beauty of places. You'll never find a person in any of the images of MEMO. There's never about a human being. It's all about the place and that energy it gives to you.
Let's go to heavier notes.
Okay, great.
Ready?
Good. So what I'm going to read out to you, if I may, I'm going to read out what Clara, we talked about how Clara works. I'm going to read out what Clara sent to Alinor when she was making French leather, okay?
Sure.
And so this is what she wrote. I find the right page. Oops. So here we go. So this is what Clara wrote, and this is how she works to describe her feelings and her emotions. And this is quite special to Clara as well because she is a Parisian. So here it is. French leather, a rose affair. What is being French all about? Being deceptively casual, not quite nonchalant. Leather that rises up beneath the rose. A sparkle in the eye. Style, even offhand. Having your table of choice at your favorite cafe. The smell of suede inside a handbag. A certain idea of style. Talent, just one cigarette. Lime, having faith in one's destiny. Taking trivial things absolutely seriously. Knowing how to combine opposites. Knowing the name of each bridge in Paris. cedar, learning to hide one's thorns, the glimpse of a shoulder, charm, never being totally lost, inventing ancestors, well-placed beauty spots, pink pepper, improvising, always being right, knowing the right moment to undress, musk and kissing. French leather, a rose affair.
Wow, thank you so much.
So
very
that's really how Clara likes, because being in Paris is not about being born in Paris. It's not about living in Paris. Being a Parisian is about a certain attitude. You can be a Parisian in Jakarta. You can be a Parisian in Paris. It's all about having that certain style, that certain atmosphere. You know, Paris is a city of love because of the way people are, the way people, you know, it's a certain attitude you have. And I think French leather portrays that because it's a beautiful rose. It's a water rose molecule, and when you smell it, it rolls up your nose. Yet there's a beautiful leather base, but it's a suede, the other side of the leather, the suede, the soft suede base, a beautiful rose molecule, and then a bit of lime juice on top, like the thorn on a rose. If you want to see a beautiful rose, go find one growing in the wild. There's thorns on the stem, you know? The tricky thing about getting a beautiful rose is picking a beautiful rose. And you can hurt yourself sometimes by picking it by this thorn. So really is about, you know, being a beautiful rose in Paris, the beauty of Paris. That's why on the bottle as well, you can see we've shown the thorns and we've shown the rose. So maybe this is like having a favorite little suede jacket you have. You wear it in a plane to keep you warm. You wear it with a skirt. You wear it with the trousers. Something you kept for 20 years because it's so comfortable. It's something like this. It's just a beautiful perfume that fits right. It's edgy, it's Parisian, it's chic, it's fun. So look, I don't know. I love wearing French leather. You don't know if it's masculine or feminine. It's nothing about that. It's just about feeling Parisian. Has anyone worn French leather before?
Not yet.
I wear it normally at night.
Okay.
Yeah, heavier. Morning, normally I use either Marfa or MEMO. Yeah, that is what I use on daily basis. Lighter version.
Any comments or questions about French leather?
Do you want me to move on to the next one?
Shall we move on? Yes, please.
So the next one we're going to go to is Russian leather. And Russian leather, you know, Russia is the biggest country in the world by land mass. And the biggest part of Russia is a place called Siberia. And Siberia goes from, you know, from Europe all the way across to Korea. And it's just an amazing place. And we wanted to capture all the contrasts of Siberia in a perfume. So we wanted to show you the ice cold, but yet the very warm. Because also what makes Siberia is the people and their resistance in Siberia. How they can work in the summertime at plus 40 degrees and work in the wintertime at minus 40 degrees. So we wanted to build it around the fougere or the fern plant. So the fougere is the first plant that rolls up and breaks through the ice in springtime. So fougere, and then to give it something nice and warming, we put some rosemary. So rosemary, fougere with a lovely leather base. So it's kind of quite gourmandy. You think sometimes, is it edible in a certain way? And then you get the fougere when you're wearing it in your skin, the leather, the fern, the rosemary. And it really is, I find it very much a warming fragrance, but yet it's got that freshness, that energy as well that's coming out with the fern. It's got some basil. It's got pine needle, basil as well, some sage, basil, tonka bean. They're all minor notes, but you got to mix everything. So it's quite a complex perfume, but we only talk about the fougere, the rosemary, and the leather.
For me, this Russian leather is quite surprising because like smelling other leather fragrance, like Cuir de Russie or something like that, is totally different than this one, because that one is very, the other Russian leather is very green, leathery. The leather is very hard, I feel. But in this one, it goes into something like fougere, and the fougere here is quite classic for me. And I really like the aromatic part in this. Like you said, I can really smell the rosemary, the basil, and then the classic tonka bean part from fougere. And I think it's very beautiful, and it's a nice interpretation of leather. I don't feel the leather here is hard. It's more like it's a very nice, elegant, sophisticated leather with a fougere. To be honest, it's quite impressive, because I never think about the fougere and leather. That's why I'm a bit surprised here that that is a leather fragrance, but it's a fougere. But it is done very nicely here, and I really like this one.
Thank you. Talking about Cuir de Russie or this, these perfumes, there's Cuir de Russie. It was made by 2 or 3 brands, okay, in leather. It means Russian leather in French.
Yes.
And it became a standard in a certain period of time. Why? Exactly. What was the origin? It was when the Russian soldiers came to Paris after, the Second World War, and all the leather they were wearing smelled like this. And that's when the first brand made it. Why? Because leather, when you actually make leather, you take the leather hide, you have to treat it to make sure that it smells good. And in Russia, they had a way of treating their leather by rolling up the hides in the birch tree, in the bark of the birch tree. So you had this woody bark, green bark smell coming through to the leather. And that was how those other brands back in the 1950s or 60s captured the smell of what they believed was a Russian leather, but a leather. We wanted to capture the emotion of Siberia, and to create a new way of thinking, a modern way of thinking of it, rather than trying to reinterpret the smell that someone else had 50 years ago. That's the why we made it our own, and not to try and think of something else. Because, just remember, leather, we love using leather. There's no real leather put into leather. Leather is an accord. It's like music. It's like playing a music accord on a guitar. You've got to put things together to make what you feel is leather. And that's what we love doing. I come from growing up with leather, with horses all the time. So we like playing with these sort of ingredients and trying to find our core. And when an accord in music sounds good, you like to use it. And that's the way we've developed maybe over 500 leather accords. We've only used less than 20. So we've got a whole reserve of playing with leather. It's like music notes we've kept in our files.
Shall we move on to our next journey destination?
Okay. I've got the next one is called Italian leather. And as you can see from the bottle of Italian leather, it's a journey outside of Rome and the countryside, driving through the hills, the fields. And the whole idea behind this was really, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you forgot to have lunch, you're in your little cabriolet car, you've got wearing leather gloves, you're driving with your loved one beside you, and you stop off because you're hungry, and you call into a little Italian cafe, and you go, hello, can we eat something? And they go, no problem. So they sit you down the table, and they bring out some bread, some olive oil, some vinaigrette, and they put some green tomatoes on the table, you know? And so the idea was to try and capture something that would never been done before in perfume, is a botanical leather. So no one had ever used green tomato leaf, which is a botanical ingredient, with leather before. But by using this and using a beautiful vanilla, I invite you to smell it 3 times before thinking it. Smell it once, take it away from your nose, smell it again, take it away from your nose, and then smell it a 3rd time. Please do that. And on the 3rd time when you smell it, you'll probably get a dark chocolate type of smell. And that's what it comes out. So it's a botanical leather, and it's really quite gourmand. This dark chocolate, we call it a dolce leather. And when you're wearing it, it's very unusual at the beginning, and then it really grows on you, and it becomes a favorite. You get addicted to it. Most people find it very strong at the beginning.
I think everyone is changing their favorites right now. They're not sure whether they're moving to Russian leather or Italian leather for Marfa. Adding, not changing.
You got, so also in a lot of our fragrance, you got Mir, but you know, we don't write it down each time. One of the handwriting of Clara and Alienor is to use a lot of Mir. This one you can smell it a bit more, but in a very gentle way. And I think one thing about MEMO as well is that because our creative team are mainly females, you know, we've used mainly female noses in Clara, and because Clara can wear it in her skin, it's brought very much a modern way of perfumery, a new way of perfumery. And I think that's really helped because it's broken any old-fashioned ideas. Because if you look at perfumery for the last 100 years, it's been dominated by men and men's vision of what a woman should wear, and like in fashion. And so when you've got a female creative team and everything is worn on Clara's skin, you know, you get a lot of very good, you know, perfumes that are male or female, but it really is a woman's version of that. And that's why I think the success of MEMO has been very, very, you know, been all over the world, because a lot of people can feel at ease with it.
I just write Italian leather on my skin because on paper it was right. Like the first time I smell it, I talked to Gia and then I said, this is leather, you know? But then after we follow your instruction, after the 3rd time, it was like, yes, there's some chocolate here. There's like some creamy vanilla chocolatey thing there. So I wanted to try it on my skin. But actually on my skin, it's a lot more beautiful than it is on the paper, because at first it was leather, and then the chocolate vanilla-ish facet comes in, but it's still super balanced with the leather as well. So you still get that traditional leather smell, but at the same time, it's softened a lot by that gourmandy facet, and I love it.
Well, thank you. What you said there is very interesting, is that, you know, all the big brands that do advertising on television, the commercial brands, they all make perfumes that smell really good on paper. Because they sell them on paper. We don't actually, if we had a choice, we'd hate to use paper. Actually, Clara only tests the perfume on her skin.
Yeah.
So in fact, we don't even know what it's going to smell like on the paper. So you've got 2 ways. If you make a perfume smell good on paper, you sell more quicker because people smell it on paper. But if you make a perfume to smell really good on skin and you wonder how it's going to be in 3 or 4 hours time, that means you have to have a very good sales team who are educated and understand it, and they can tell the customer, you mightn't like it on the paper now, please try it in your skin, and please go take a coffee, and please come back in 4 hours time, and then I think you'll buy it. And this is what we have to do a lot, is we share the memo emotion, and we tell people, go ahead and buy a coffee, come back in 3 or 4 hours time, and we're sure you like it. And so many people come back. But usually everyone has to try and sell, 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 and that's why they make it smell good on paper. We don't care about the paper.
That's true, because you want to wait, you want the customer to feel how the scent develops as well, right?
Exactly. Because a scent only develops on a skin because your skin has got warmth. You need the warmth working with the alcohol, working with the ingredients to see how it's going to develop on your skin.
So Italian leather is for sure now is added to the new favorites list there.
Yes, along with Marfa.
Along with Marfa. This is our last bottle. Oh, what are we missing?
Irish leather, right?
Irish leather.
Oh,
The last one is Irish leather.
I've got Irish leather here if you want as well. It wasn't on the list, but obviously I'm going to show you Irish leather because I'm very biased. Do you have Irish leather there as well?
Yes, you do.
Okay, but Irish leather is going to give you a completely other side of leather. And Irish leather was, it kind of broke all the industry records because it's the first ever green, fresh, young, energetic leather. Before Irish leather came out in the market, most leathers were based around gentlemen-only clubs, Chesterfields, the inside of old cars, this sort of old man's feeling of leather, cigar. And Clara, everything she hates was all of these things. So she really wanted to bring out a modern leather. And Clara, to be honest, she didn't even like leather perfumes before doing Irish leather. She hated leather perfumes. So what happened was that she was in Ireland at my house, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, my brother was working the horses on the gallops. The horses come back in from racing. They pass by the house. You got the warmth of the horses, the wonderful leather smell, the leather, the citrusy smell as well that comes from the tack room. And she put all of that together to make Irish leather, which is kind of like the bittersweet taste of Ireland, that fresh, bitter air, but at the same time, a wonderful strength of leather. So it's the first green, young, energetic leather, and this changed the market. If you look at, MEMO, I think in one thing MEMO has brought to perfume, it's made leather perfumes very fashionable again. If you look back 10 years ago, there was hardly any leather perfumes in the market. There was the old traditional ones. And since then, MEMO has got over 14 leather perfumes in the collection, and we've become known as the #1 leather perfume brand in the world because we show many different types of leathers to people. People say, I don't like leather, and they usually walk out wearing one of MEMO's leathers. Here you can see the mate is completely different. Here you've got a wonderful juniper berry as well. And the juniper berry here has got, the juniper berry is the berry used for making gin. You've got mate, but it's a green mate absolute. So the leaf is taken when it's green, and they make the absolute rather than a brown mate. And it's got this beautiful leather accord. But it's also got a pink pepper inside. It's also got sage inside. It's also got like a bit of an ambery honey inside as well. So there's many different types inside in it. So you really it's got tonka bean as well. So behind what you get with the 3 notes, there's many other things to make it.
So Irish leather is my favorite fragrance from the leather collection. And I don't know, sometimes with a very good fragrance that I really like, I cannot really tell or describe the fragrance. It's just because I think everything goes very well together, and it's very well balanced, and it just gives a smile on my face. And this is really what I feel when I smell Irish leather. So, you know, the first time I smell Irish leather on the paper, I didn't really like it because for me, it's very green. The leather is very green. Like when you describe that it's about the, you know, the horse and everything, I can really feel it in this fragrance. But when I spray it on my hands, and then I did my activities like normally, you know, the sillage is very, very, very good. Like it blooms very, very nice. And it instantly make me happy. So I think if I'm buying fragrance from MEMO, this will be my second purchase from the brand.
Well, I thank you. I'm glad it makes you happy. That's what we want. We want people to make smiles, make people feel happy, help you to think about other countries, to travel there. You know, sometimes I try to explain to people what we do. I say we're the magic carpet of perfume, you know, the Alibaba of perfume. We try to make people travel without moving, just by wearing the perfume. And if we can give a bit of a child's dream to someone to travel without moving, well, then we've done our job. Thank you very, very much for taking part in this. And I hope you can see the beauty in many different places. And I just can't wait till I come back to Jakarta and to meet you all in person.
Yeah, we can't wait. We can't wait either, John. Thank you so much for being with us tonight at morning, your time. Thank you for everything, for explaining the journey, the sense, and for answering our question. It's been such a special night for all of us. Believe me, we're gonna stay here for like, I think maybe at least an hour to try everything else without
Okay.
you, but we're gonna let you go.
But
Thank you so much.
I'm here for any more questions, even about perfume in general, about Europe, about anything you want. I'm here. If you want any more questions from anyone else around the table.
Anything else? Enough for now. Enough for now. Hopefully we can have another time like this, maybe next year.
If you ever need any questions, like, or even any email questions afterwards, you want to send an email to me for Clara. You want any questions for Clara or for the nose or anything, you know, we're here to help out and to do whatever we can. You know, we're a family company at the end of the day. Drop me an email. I'll forward it to Clara. She can reply. You know, check out Clara on her own personal Instagram. You can follow what she's doing or whatever, you know, it's anything we can do to help, we're here. Okay.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, the whole team. I know there's a huge amount of preparation behind doing these events from everyone. Thank you to everyone to set up the cameras, the televisions, the team, everyone there. I know there's a lot of work going on. Thank you, the whole team. Really appreciate all that hard work. And again, thank you to Charlene and the whole family for being our partners. We love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.